in mind. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say, make we no talk. But thank God say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo, and people make you shout. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come, man of the masses. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Thank you very much for joining me. Share this broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends. And tell them that Mayegun today. Yes, I'm here. Live.
Mayegun diary politico. Mayegun diary.
You may be wondering, Kilo Shele. Tinubu is cancelling Atiku. And at the same time, Atiku is cancelling Tinubu. So it's going to be an interesting night tonight. So if you are wondering, like my guy,
what's going on, Christian? What's going on, Christian?
Here you go. But don't worry. What is really going on is that Igboro ti daru. Share this broadcast. I've got so much for you tonight. Yes.
Lórí YouTube, Mayegun ti dé. And yes, we like Mayegun ti dé. Oh, Baba Bewure. Mayegun ma wí. And yes, we like Mayegun ti dé. Bijo Ìgbádìyẹ. Mayegun ma wí. And yes, we like.
Share the broadcast. And then before we settle down fully, I've got a few announcements to make. The first one, which is actually a very good one, our own member here of the Temple of Truth, Idris, whose sister was among those kidnapped in Edo just a few weeks back. She has regained her freedom, but not without costing the family their entire savings, and at the same time driving them into selling their properties, including driving them into debt. As they say, the victim survived, and when there is life, there is hope. So Idris' sister is back home. And for everybody who have been sending me personal messages on there, what can you do to help and all of that? Yes, we open up a sort of a window for that where you can reach out. The story is very credible. And when I say it is credible, I mean, you can do your own background check on this as well if you are willing to help, okay? But it is very credible. And we are happy that she is back home, safe. Now, talking about the atrocities and the victims of this APC, Egbekegbe's terrorism in the last 8 years. This past few days has been a very, very sad one, especially for the parishioners of this man you have on your screen, who happened to be a Reverend Father. And his name, by the way, his name is Reverend Father Isaac Achi, right? He was killed by the Fulani terrorist at his own church called the St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church, Kafin Koro, Niger State, where he was burnt to ashes. After they killed him, they burnt his body. You know, God, should I say, give his family the fortune to actually, I mean, to bear this. I don't know what to say. Justice would have probably been better than praying for, you know, them to be able to handle it. But from us to them, our condolences. I mean, condolences, Baba. Thank you very much. My final announcement is going to be on the updates on our ongoing projects, and that is on Mayegun's Diary Politico. For those who have been part of this for a very long time, you will know that. I mean, you will know that we are not just talking about what is happening in Nigeria or talking about all of the vices. We are also providing solutions to so many of them, even though we don't expect them to honor or obey any of them. However, we are also going out of our own ways to reach out to different victims of whatever is going on in Nigeria. In this regard, I mean, just last month, we reached out to over 500 families in Yoruba land in our way of helping and supporting the food poverty, which our people are also victims of under this APC. So we picked a back to school project this January, and back to school is our own way of also reaching out to the less privileged within our own society as a people in Yoruba land. But this time around, these are being done under the umbrella of an organization called the Yoruba Union. Now, under Yoruba Union, we have a target that we're going to reach at least 5,000 school children to start with. And we have done so far. We have done so well so far. We've put our resources together, and we have been able to, from 100,000 targets, because of time and so many other things in the pipeline, we decided to go ahead and just implement what we can really do right now. And what we can really do right now is that from 10,000 school children in Yoruba land that we intend to actually reach out to this month, we have cut that down to 5,000 of them. Now, 5,000 of them will receive 50,000 copies of school usable exercise books printed with information that has to do with Yoruba land. Call it Yoruba's current affairs, and few things that they should know about Yoruba land. All these are already being perfected. And by this Friday, we're going to mobilize the printers, which means we're going to start the publication. We've got just about 14 days to get all of this sorted, packaged, and delivered. But we are currently running on a deficit, which means we haven't really met the target that will cover our logistics, the people that are going to work on the field. So at a point tonight, we are going to give you an update on the fundraiser. We're going to give you an update on other things that has to do with what we are doing. So please don't go anywhere. Now let's go get started. Once again, if you are just joining us tonight, I want to believe that you must have read the caption, the description of this conversation, this broadcast, and somehow you are if you have been following events, political events in Nigeria, which has become what they call the yam pepper scatter, everything propoye. But as much as it might look a little bit confusing, murky, unclear, on Mayegun's Diary Political, we do our best to make you understand the intertwine with their worries in a way that you will be able to not be deceived by any of them, and at the same time, you understanding them so clearly. Yeah, that's part of what we do, because when you see rogues, I mean, a lot of people on Mayegun's Diary Political from the beginning, they were so mad. Right? They are so mad at me simply because I was using, according to them, derogatory words to describe leaders in Nigeria. That is completely, according to them, lack of home training in the beginning. Why would you call the leaders criminals? Why are you calling? I mean, Mayegun, don't you have elders at home? Of course, you may not like them, but don't call them criminals. So I fought that. You know, those of you who are like, always want to be politically correct. I fought that from the beginning. But over time, people started actually understanding why I kept using that same word. Criminals, hold, yongo, criminals, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, criminals. Because I have seen through all of the veil that they have used to cover your eyes, including mine. So people started saying, Mayegun, you are right. These people are criminals. These people are criminals, Mayegun. I agree with you. So now, in our lifetime, in your lifetime, I have warned you, if you really want to keep your sanity, if your own mental health means a lot to you, then when you want to view the madness going on in Nigeria and the actors, the characters acting all these roles, I beg you to never, ever be emotionally attached. You are going to lose. They will rob you of that. Yes, that's what they do. Criminals, when you build expectation on them because you are listening to them, then you ended up having to offer them your emotion or even more. But at the end of the day, you will lose because they are just what? They are criminals. And they don't have tribe. They don't have religion. They don't have anything. But they can actually put up acts that will make you think they are the best of the best. And I said, it may take a long time, but once people begin to realize that, I said, in my own research, it didn't take long before I discovered that Nigerians and their leaders, they are just like the mirror opposite, the mirror reflection of themselves. Your leaders are the reflection of majority of you who empower them. And I said, if you had paid attention very well, you would have realized that Nigerians, they love their oppressors, they love their criminals, they love their thieves, they love their crooked terrorists and jihadist apologists. They love them differently. And that is why somebody will agree with you that Obasanjo is bad, right? Or hang on, Buhari is bad, Obasanjo is good. Do you understand? Because they will have to give you reasons and excuses why they prefer them to another. Because majority of you are guilty of that. But over time, I have managed to dilute those emotions. People are beginning to feel like, okay, I don't care about them anymore. I mean, I actually love them because I thought they were, you know what I mean? So Nigerians love their oppressors. Some love them because they are from their tribe. Some love them because they are of their religion. Some love them because of the access they have to any of them. All of this make many of them choose. Some love them because what they have benefited through them. Jobs, loans, sponsorship, scholarship, hospital bill. In all of this, right, it makes every Nigerian who has an emotion attached to any of these rogues to feel offended when you are talking about them. I have studied that. That's why I told you, I am not your friend that you should be so happy and be jumping up when I am saying something about somebody which is not in your own book of people you kind of like. I don't like any of them. I don't respect any of them. Whatever they do, even when they do anything good, in my own world, from my own experience, dig deeper, you will see how much wrong and evil that is behind that facade they pretended to be good. I have seen it a lot. And that is why, even when they pretend to be trying to do something good, you'll be wondering, well, how come that thing didn't work? It's because the intention is never to make it work. The intention is to make you believe that it is going to work. But in the long run, back to square zero. So that's why I choose never to invest anything in any of them. So studying and knowing this helped me a lot to understand the mindset of an average Nigerian. Do you understand that? It helped me to understand that, you see all these biases I mentioned, right? It doesn't even, being educated, exposed, well-traveled, living outside Nigeria, even having money, rich a little bit, all these biases, all of those things are, they are unable to stop all those biases. I have seen it. It is a difficult job. We have people that are with us saying Nigeria is not working. Nigeria need to break away and break up. The moment Tinubu became the presidential candidate of APC, their plan and hope of any independent region in Yoruba land in Nigeria was cut down by 70%. The rest was just excuses. Why? They prefer their criminals differently. As you are telling them, you don't need to tell anybody that no election. What you could do is that boycotting an election is also an election. It's also a message. But what I figured out is that as social media is saying no election or this or that, Baba, we went back. Majority of them don't go collect PVC. But there are those that will come on social media and tell you, hey, we need to fight for. It's a lie. Bunch of pretenders. That is what the system has done to them. And I remember telling many of you almost a year ago, I said, you see the level of the commitment of the people towards the fact that Nigeria is not working and people realizes that, right? To sustain and maintain it, the moment their charade election starts, that will begin to cut down. People asking that Nigeria should go their separate ways, they will begin to ask for excuses that, why don't you let us wait for a little time more? I said all of this, and they're happening today. But why am I telling you all of this? Is because everything some of you have managed to try to disprove or argue against on Mayegun's diary political in the past, they have come to be today. But what many of you have not really kind of admit publicly mostly is that as those things have come to happen and be, right, only few came back to say Mayegun was the one saying these guys were criminals. When they say they want to do an election, they have perfected their plan and they have, they've written everything that it has to be, but they have to make it look real by making you participate to validate it. I said that all the time. But then obedience happened, right? And that then started destabilizing whatever used to be the traditional way. But guess what? Your criminal leaders are now coming out, canceling themselves. You are not there, though. You are still here. Some of them, you said I insulted them. Oh. Don't you have any respect, Mayegun? Don't you have elders at home? I mean, it's the politics that make you to be talking like this. Today, everything I've said are now being confirmed by the criminals. There are millions of these, humbled slaves, obedient fools, and the one Nigerian is the unity beggars. These two criminal gangs, I even call them two criminal groups APC, Egbekegbe, people destroying people, or populated by they are the nest of criminals. I've said that. No difference. So today they came out, and they came out gun blazing. Yes, they came out gun blazing. The people who have character flaws. I'm talking about Festus Otobo Keyamo. The likes of Femi Fone Kayode for Food Kayode. Are those who are now telling us that something must be done. Oh, Atiku is a criminal. This SPV thing you are hearing. In fact, Obasanjo and Atiku, they ran a criminal enterprise. That is from the mouth of the people that have bankrupted Nigeria. APC, Egbekegbe. That's what makes it more dramatical. So when we started and people were like, go. Atiku is saying that they should cancel. I mean, Tinubu is saying that Atiku is a criminal. Guess what? A guy came out about a week ago, and that guy said he worked for Atiku, and he had some secrets about the plan of Atiku. And the guy said if he dies, he has all these documents, emails, phone calls, and all of that he has already handed over to his lawyers. They will release them into the public, and Atiku should be held responsible if anything happened to him. Do you remember that guy? Well, he has released the second part of his secret of Atiku Gate. In his first part, he told us about SPV. What I know about SPV back then was that special, it's SUV, special utility vehicles. SPV, special purpose vehicle. Sure you get. Now, the difference between SUV and SPV, Atiku explained it in a secretly recorded conversation which that guy released. The SUV na car. SPV is vehicle too, but it's a different vehicle. It is a vehicle, they are vehicles of corruption. These are companies that were opened up purposely by the number 2 man in Nigeria, which was Atiku then, only just to take contract, bogus contract. They will put bogus contract in the budget. Okay? Something like Kokoroko power project in Zungeru, Niger State. But when you get to Zungeru, there is no Kokoroko, any community called Kokoroko. Okay? Meanwhile, when you look at that Kokoroko power project, Nigeria, you see a company collect that. That company are called SPVs. Okay? When they take that contract, they don't have any project to execute. They just take the money. Okay? So these are the companies in 1999, when Nigeria was just coming out of the military, northern criminals in the military who destroyed Nigeria and killed Nigerians. When they left, bankrupted Nigeria. In the process of coming to this democracy, some of you are 22 years old, Tabi, 23 years old. I'm talking about what they planned, your future that they were supposed to plan 24 years ago when Nigeria was going into democracy. The likes of Atiku, they actually put the entire drain pipe into whatever could have been your future today. This today was stolen 24 years ago. So all this SPV, they will now drop billions upon billions on bogus no projects, okay? And Atiku, being the vice president, must make sure those projects were approved and the money were approved and those people collect the money. Baba, Keyamo, before Keyamo, this guy, Garbage Shehu, the one that is the presidency, remember, presidency, was Atiku's spokesperson that time. So for years, Atiku and his friends, right, they milked Nigeria. You know what I mean? Like, never seen before. Even Obasanjo was like, Atiku got so much SPVs, he gave Obasanjo some. Say, Mr. President, they will never trace any money to you. Nobody will ever trace any money to you. Money will miss. People will know that money is missing, but they will never trace it to anybody. That guy released that. So Atiku and Dino Keneri Melaye. Dino Keneri Melaye replied and said that guy was a scammer. You see that thing? Then don't snowball now. Now bazooka, no. It will be that thing we say if you carry with two hands, these guns. M15, M65, no matter. See, M65, those guns. So APC came out today, and that is from Festus Otobo Keyamo. Festus Otobo Keyamo said, now they can no longer wait. Atiku must be disqualified. How could you allow this whole thing to happen? So, now that wahala we dey settle until Dino Keneri Melaye fire another shot on behalf of Atiku. Guess what? He said, oh my God, there's nothing where you want to talk. All this thing are just distraction. Now they pay that guy. Mean they talk nonsense about Atiku, Abi. So that you can now allow Escobar, Osama bin Laden to be president and vice president of Nigeria. All those names, are they not criminal tags? You owe me apology. Lagos Abobaku, Oshogbo Alimajiri, Buhari Dins, Buhari Diderins, Buhari Dinotus, Buhari Dijatus, Buhari Shukus, Ungo Ziaris, Unne Kaharis, obedient fools, sophisticated morons, humbled slaves, including you, their uncles and aunties abroad, the Abroadian Buhari Diderins, or the Abroadian Buhari idiots, the Mumumadus, the Bele lecturers, the Mumu lecturers, social media bandits, the Facebook adsmen. You owe me an apology. All of you who are like, who want to be politically correct all the time, you owe me an apology. Now, they don't tear cloth for public now. Don't worry, I haven't started. It's just about to start. You will see drama. I have all the videos. I'll share with the videos with you. You watch them. You will listen to them. And then you will sit back and then tell me that if I choose not to believe in Nigeria at the time when I did, tell me I did wrong. I can't give you this online slap. You've not heard that, Abi? Yeah, I can give you this, and it is somehow, hypnotizing. Okay, I wouldn't like to do that to you because even innocent person will collect the slap. I'll just have to work with you for just 2 minutes, and then bah! It will be like say I slap you. Your phone will drop. If you shake for chair, if you just move and say, my ego, what happened? Don't let me do that to you. These guys know themselves better than many of you who have chosen to worship them and lick their asses. I'm talking about the ass lickers, the crumb eaters, the crumb chasers, the all-risers. You don't know them like they know themselves. And then you want somebody like me to now pretend and say, are you not a Yoruba man? Otobo, Keyamo, Ati for Food Kayode, Femi Foni Kayode are now demanding that EFCC must arrest Atiku. This cannot happen. Cannot happen. I called the shitty man. I called him, what do you call it? I called him Boko Haram apologist. You say, Mayegun, don't talk like that. Let us respect our elders. You know that thing, Ahmed? How do you say Shayen Shieni Lausa? He will come here and tell me. First, also Otobo Keyamo on behalf of Otobo Keyamo Chamber, they are now asking the EFCC and all these people to arrest Atiku. Why? Because was it not December? David Undenyi released a very scathing expose on Bola Ahmed Escobar Tinubu. They say they won't spoil his name. That's okay, leave Escobar out. What about his qualification and all of that he forged? Is that not perjury? They said They are trying to spoil his name. You know, all of this, and those of you who defended that, these two people are now using these exposés that all of us on social media, because you know, saying on social media, they get this raw information. Your normal media in Nigeria, they don't show this. They will never let them show this. You know that. Now, the thing that they are telling you to ignore on social media, are so real, so raw, so criminal, so implicating, so to say, that they told you to ignore them. They are just trying to spoil their names. Now, the Wiris are now using them to tackle themselves. So where are you going to face now? Kolu forged certificate. I was born in 1952. I was born in 1954. My mama waiting. Okay, who are your mates? And the rest of them, get a childhood mate. Get secondary school, primary school mate. Get anybody where they grow up together. What about the family member? Who are those who are part of your family? Nothing. It is all so secret. But guess what? In Nigeria, they don't matter. I'm telling you, that's how they push criminals. When those ones now start dealing with them, no job, no security, okay, no food, increasing poverty, then they will start calling on God. God should come and fight for us. And I said, I don't want to be part of that. Hey, you need to be patriotic. Don't see, every time we are talking something serious, don't try to blackmail anyone with all these fancy words. Fear of God, trust God. What else again? Be patriotic. Let us show respect. Let us pray for them. If anybody is trying that with you, you know what you have to do, right? You just face them and be like, she's going to pay any.
Abọ́lọ̀fẹ́ bá tiẹ̀ jẹ́ níbo ló ti mọ̀ mí bó lè mi àti ẹ ti dàpọ̀ kí ló dé mi àti ẹ pọ̀. Abọ́lọ̀fẹ́ bá tiẹ̀ jẹ́ níbo ló ti mọ̀ mí bó lè mi àti ẹ ti dàpọ̀ kí ló dé.
Old people, mad people are mortgaging the future of millions. You are seeing the result, but you won't come. They use blackmail. Are you not an Igbo man? Are you not this? Don't let anybody use any of those on you. Do you get that? Anyway, when you give criminals chance, please own them with your chest. And don't blackmail us or use any fancy word like be patriotic. These are criminals. You are empowering criminals. Some of you are proud of them. Some of you are even telling yourselves that you will see, as you is going to be the next president. You are doing yourself. You're not doing anybody. Some of you don't know. You are doing yourselves. You are the victims. You are going to be the victims. But first also to Keyamo. Okay, they said they should arrest Atiku. Why? The first part of the story, I'm sorry I've been talking. I actually feel like I could take some calls tonight, but I want to make it more kind of interesting as much as possible without missing the message. These guys are criminals. They are confirming this, and you owe me a respect. If you think I've disrespected any of your criminal leaders, now you owe me a lot of respect. A lot of apology. I'll start taking them from I'll start reading the comments where you start your apologies. The first part that triggered, which means that there is possibility that APC, they are behind this too. This guy in part 2 said, Atiku has 31 children, and all of them, they are getting ready. Once Atiku become president of Nigeria, all the 31 children want to be billionaire. Look at Bokwari, look at Aisha. Shebi, you saw their old picture in 2014, 2015. Look at them today. So, if Atiku is coming to make 31 children billionaires, you better start planning the way you're going to live your life after this. Future no day. That's why obedient to say. That's why I'm saying, you need to speak and tell Nigerians. I'm going to share anyway. This is the beginning. This was the part 1. Then we go to Otobo Keyamo. And for Food Kayode, they had a press conference because of what you're about to watch or listen to. Let's start with this one.
On the
what is SPV? This is what explains what is SPV in Atiku's voice. in his voice.
On the 13th of June 2018, there were serious corruption allegations flying all over social media about 100 million naira bribe that had been given to Atiku Abubakar by the then Plateau State Governor Joshua Dare. By the direct personal admission of the governor, he had given 100 million naira to Atiku. For this reason, the governor was found guilty and was sentenced to jail time. I needed to know what the truth about the allegation was before proceeding to plan a defense strategy. And so I reached out to my then principal, Atiku Abubakar, via email, asking him, the details of the issue and how to proceed. And so he had told me that in his reply that, that money had been paid into an SPV. I didn't know what an SPV was, so I asked him. And so he gave a brief description, but since it was obvious I wasn't quite, I didn't have clarity, he put a call through to me on that same day. On my blog, you'd find the phone number that he had used to call me on that day, and the number I was also using by which I had received that call that day. And in his call, in our conversation, he admitted to having advised his then boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo, against what he called open corruption, stating that he practiced corruption by stealth or corruption by SPV, if you will. Went on to explain in further strategy meetings that through those SPVs he, Atiku Abubakar, had set up. Don't forget that he was in charge of the economy, and every monetary transactions had to pass through him, and they had used those SPVs, to fleece Nigerians, using those monies for private businesses, to settle their friends and political issues as well. That particular conversation gave me a little insight into the truth about my boss, my then boss, and all of the corruption allegations against him. It also opened my mind to the knowledge that the reason he's always been confident in defending himself, in allegations of SPV by telling Nigerians, show me evidence if you have any against me, is because SPVs, those companies he had set up by himself, had placeholder directors. So nothing could ever be traced back to him directly. That's why Atiku is always confident about corruption allegations. But it also forced me to begin to investigate deeper, the man that I was serving at the time. Listen to the conversation between me and him.
Sir.
Yeah, Mike.
Yes, sir.
How can you ask me what is SPV?
I don't know what SPV is, and I need to be sure before I start arguing with these people.
SPV is a special purpose vehicle. In other words, is a company they incorporate to carry out certain, activities.
Okay, sir.
You see, what happened was when we came into, the office, and I advised the president against, open corruption.
Yes, sir.
I told him, I said, give me 3 people you trust.
Yes, sir.
And I will prepare 3 companies for which they will be the subscribers, or rather the directors.
Okay, sir.
So that, if there is any contract that we give, they will act like consultants,
yes.
And then they are giving a fee.
Yes,
and
sir.
that fee is what we now use, to fund the party instead of, engaging open. So he gave me the names of Fashawe, Andy Uba, and the late this guy, from Borno State, who died in that plane crash. Trying to the 3 of them.
Okay, sir.
So I now incorporated companies and I put them as subscribers.
Yes, sir.
And one of the companies was Marine Floats.
Yes, sir.
So when this governor sent donation to the party, now he sent it to Marine Floats. So it was paid into Marine Float.
Yes, sir.
You know. And one of the subscribers of Marine Float was Otumba Fashe. You know, that account was very well investigated by EFCC to see whether, there was any vision. They found out that there was nothing.
Yes, sir.
So that was where the 100 million went to. It did not go to Atiku Abubakar. It went to Marine Float. And Marine Float was an SPV, special purpose vehicle, created, as a consulting company. So
okay, sir.
that was the way I handled it.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So that was what I was briefly tried to explain to you. No money was given to Atiku Abubakar.
It's okay. These people, as the time draws closer, they keep coming up with a lot of issues, and one needs to be able to have a few facts to be countering them immediately. Yes, sir. No problem, sir. I will tackle him later tonight.
So I mean, they should go and check. The money was not paid to Atiku Abubakar. The money was paid to a company called Marine Float.
Marine Float, yes, sir.
Yes,
So do you understand that now? That's the genesis. And it was called Part 1. So they set up consultancy companies that will be taking cuts from non-existing projects. So if you trace anything, you can't trace anything to him. Those ones will now have to pay some of the money into the account of a company called Marine Float, or every money goes into Marine Float. So Marine Float now share the money owned by Atiku Abubakar, and it's just one of so many other SPVs. Fashawe that he mentioned happened to be Obasanjo's person, which means Obasanjo's own SPV were handled by the likes of Andy Uba, Fashawe. And for those who remember the Uba brothers of Anambra, and the Ubas, they were so rich. People were so surprised that they were so rich and so powerful that they kidnapped. We do believe they kidnapped a sitting governor. Okija, Shatabandu, Krisingige. Uba brothers, they rigged the election, used federal this and that money and all of that, and they made him governor. But before they made him governor, they took him to a shrine, Okija shrine, to go and swear that he was going to be sharing the state money 60-40 with them. They would take 60. Ngige would take 40. And whatever he can do whatever he wants to do with the 40. Whether to build road or build anything, that's up to him. They were so powerful that they kidnapped a sitting governor. Governor will get DSS, will get army, get everything. Uba brothers, that's how they became prominent. Because they were running SPV for Obasanjo and Atiku. That's the facts. And if you trace any of them till tomorrow, you will never trace one kobo to Atiku or to Obasanjo. But this is the first time that Atiku will be caught on record, confessing to have facilitated corruption, but there is no way, all the investigation against him, none of them could be linked to him. This is the first time he is publicly on record admitting to his own corruption. And by so doing, even Obasanjo and the rest of them are to be arrested. But how can you arrest them? Atiku gave 6 billion naira to Bokwari in 2015. When they are doing the 2015 election, Atiku alone, 6 billion naira. And his private jet. But because he's the former president he's so rich. He's so rich. It is like it's like you just packing money in a place and pack as much as you can every day for 8 years. You can't imagine. And all these are like money being held in proxy. By proxies for them. He gave APC 6 billion naira in 2015 election plus his private jet. If you remember Bokwari smiling like a sheepy, what do you call it? Ogufe from Niger Republic. If you remember that photo during their campaign in 2015, that was Atiku's private jet. but you will never trace anything to him. They destroyed education in Nigeria. Atiku opened his own private university, called it America APC or something, university. America British University. Obasanjo, from his own money, they destroyed education. He opens his own university and secondary school. He called it Bells University, private. That's how they made their money. So you want me, because you have nothing to tell me this is actually so wrong. And it is ideal not to associate with people or characters like this if you want to claim not to be a sort of enabler of what is going on in Nigeria. Let us respect them. Let's forget all of that. Let us go. Are you mad? Show mad? If it's any problem, that's where we get problem. Oh. Me, I know they excuse them because I know them as criminals and I want to call them criminals. I don't want to say honorable criminal or sir criminal or daddy criminal. No, criminals. And any other thing that comes to my head. No matter any good you think they are doing, they are setting you up for something other that is bigger than what they have done to you. That's what I figured out. I don't want to be part of that. But how can APC, Egbekegbe jail, Atiku? They can't. He's an investor in APC. Yeah. There are many members of APC, Egbekegbe, who are House of Rep members. They are Atiku's boys. They are in APC, of course, but they are Atiku's boys. Atiku's money is what sent them to those positions. You have no idea. Now, they carry umbrella, they carry broom, because now be the mumu that they need to validate this fraud. They are criminals. Old or young, I don't care. Criminals. Just say it. Criminals, criminals, criminals. Yeah? So that is why the next one is going to be the entertaining one, right? Listen to Keyamo. He opened the floor, a press conference, asking EFCC to make sure. And this is somebody defending somebody that got indicted, a presidential candidate that got indicted for cocaine pushing, heroin pushing, money laundering, certificate forgery, perjury. So when criminals are now saying, arrest him, catch him, thief, catch him, rogue, catch him, robber, catch him. So when you see thieves, say, catch him, Baba, you're supposed to catch shame. You are not supposed to sit down and say, of course, it's, I hear it, 1 million times. Otobo, open the floor. This is it, the Pandora box that APC, Egbekegbe is now demanding. 37 days before your electoral charade, the two biggest parties in Nigeria, led by criminals, populated by zombies and the future criminals. Your shame started from here. And I am interested. And as they say, we they do work lomo. You feel see a madman where they dance for street and you be say, but when you realize that now your own brother or your papa or your mama or anything way close to you, Baba, your heart go break. Now let's go see the show of shame when criminals are calling on the authority to pick the criminals here and there. Here we go.
If you are not arresting, you are inviting, interrogation, and possible prosecution of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Gentlemen of the press, these are the facts of this matter. For about a week now, Nigerians have been in deep shock over the grave revelations by a whistleblower, Mr. Michael Achimogo, who has provided the nation with iron-cast evidence of letters of appointment by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, emails, documents, audio clips, sworn affidavits, and his direct oral evidence as to how Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who happens to be the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, during his tenure as Vice President of Nigeria between 1999 and 2007, colluded with his then boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo, to fleece the country and steal public funds using what he termed the Special Purpose Vehicle, SPVs. Those SPVs were companies Atiku admittedly registered upon assumption of office as Vice President with the approval of President Olusegun Obasanjo, using trusted allies as shareholders and directors. The purpose was to divert government contracts to these companies as consultants and then paid monies into these companies and used those monies to fund the PDP and their private businesses and family activities. We can all vividly recall that during that tenure, both President Olusegun Obasanjo and Atiku Abubakar built the Bell University and American University respectively. Now, we know where those funds came from. They came from the SPVs. We hereby make available certified copies of the sworn affidavits, of the affidavit sworn to and released to the public by the whistleblower. We have made it available to you. And so you have a certified copy of those affidavits with you, giving graphic details of all that transpired, including attached documents. Gentlemen, let us also play to you the voice recording that he did of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar following those emails.
I will do that one, or I've already done that one, so don't waste our time. Yes, we must get Atiku arrested with the grave crime they committed, including Obasanjo, but Atiku for now. Let's arrest Atiku for now. That was what Keyamo was talking about. But I don't know if Otobo Keyamo has heard the second version where Atiku's 31 children are expected to be automatic billionaires. Let's imagine that they start with 1 billion naira opening account, opening balance. The moment they declare Atiku your president, so all the 31 children, opening balance 1 billion. That's 31 billion. That's chicken change. It's not even anything. Sure, you get. That will be the opening balance. So then from day one, and if they are like Bokwari and Yusuf and Aisha and the rest of them, Aisha is living in Dubai for almost 3 years now. Who do you think is paying? Somebody living that luxurious first lady of Nigeria. She's not the only person there. She's with her family, her children, her friends, some of them who just have to keep her company. She's running her own fiefdom there. Who do you think is paying? Atiku. Aisha is the only wife of Bokwari. Atiku has about, I think he has about 8 wives and 300 concubine, side chicks. I'm not making it up. Even his wife and all of them, they said Atiku as wife, well, as a woman, as women in every state in Nigeria, and even Keneri Dino came out and he told us, he said, if you know Atiku very well, because Atiku marry everybody from everywhere in Nigeria, there is nobody that is more Nigeria or that can unite Nigeria. That is, if Atiku they do family meeting, it's like Nigeria doing meeting. Do you understand? When everybody will bring all of their, you know what I mean? Now, all of this will become your responsibility, okay? 23 years ago, I don't know how many children Atiku had. By birthday, he's had more now. 23 years is a long time, okay? However, there is one of them that is very much involved in his father's campaign. His name is something Muhammad Abubakar or something like that. Now that one go be the Olori Ebi. Now that one go be like the richest. So he own $1 billion go be in dollars, because now that one Kuku make the proposal. Say if him papa become president, he can't wait, because he can't be living abroad, living outside Nigeria, struggling like other people. He has to establish himself and make sure that, you know what I mean? I need to eat in one Nigeria needs to. So make a play him. Then we'll go back to the press conference, okay? Now this guy told us, the part 2 at Atiku Gate.
One day in 2020, there were rumors that the Senate wanted to amend the requirements for the office of president to raise the minimum qualification. And Atiku had felt that he was the target of that process. And so he had reached out to me frantically via email. In that email, he said that beyond the Senate, his children were also pressuring him, his family basically were pressuring him to run for office, and as such wanted him to acquire by any means necessary a higher certificate that would make him eligible to run for office. And so he wanted me to help him secure admission to any Nigerian polytechnic where he could purchase such a certificate without scrutiny. I secured admissions for him at Federal Polytechnic Ida and Durban Polytechnic in Abuja. He sent money and I paid his fees. But I had advised him that the scrutiny he wanted to avoid was not going to be possible because the ever-vigilant DSS were always around these schools investigating, and so there was no way he was going to avoid scrutiny. Acting on that advice, somehow he secured admission to Anglia Ruskin in the UK. I do not know how he did it, but he secured a master's degree from there. But he didn't go to school because he loves education. He went to school to fulfill his desperation of becoming president of Nigeria. In that email, he had mentioned the fact of his children forcing him, putting him under intense pressure to run for office again. I wondered why, but it didn't take too long for me to find out why. So Hawa is Atiku's daughter, one of his daughters, and she had told me herself that one of the reasons her brothers, especially Mo, whom she mentioned, would do anything for their father to become president was the fact that he knows that he must become a multi-billionaire should his father make it to that office. In her words, nothing will stop him. Now, when you put into perspective the fact that Atiku has 31 biological children, each one of them wanting to become a multi-billionaire, then you'd understand why you should be afraid of letting this family near that space. I was later to speak with Mo himself, and he affirmed what his sister told me. He said that there's no other goal in his life right now than for his father to become president, because he knows that when his father wins, his appetite will become larger. Also, these children want to emulate their father's royalty or royal lifestyle lived abroad. And so it is their dream to relocate abroad with their various families. But they feel that the billions they already have, even by the admission of their father, they are living comfortable lives here, that those billions are not yet enough. They need more. And so they need their father to be in office so they can embezzle more money and relocate. Do you know what it will cost you, this country, for 31 children to aim to be multi-billionaires in a country where we are already short of funding for major critical projects? They'll rip Nigeria dry. You can listen to them. You don't have to take my word for it.
Who complained big time about Chidoka. He said Chidoka used daddy's money and didn't deliver. In the end, God was very bitter. You know one thing with Mo wants daddy to be president because Mo knows that when and if daddy becomes president, he will be a multi-billionaire. Nothing will stop him. So he will bet his everything. The thing is, I don't know, it's highly ambitious, and so is Muhammad. I don't know, it's very selfish, and so is Muhammad. I don't like money, and so does Muhammad.
Just two of them.
And so it is true.
And everybody wants to feel closer to that.
There have been instances where I've been interested in, going for an office maybe or whatever, but for whatever reason, that didn't happen. But I'm just at a point where my primary interest is to see Atiku Abubakar become president. There is no secondary interest for now or tertiary interest or anything. That is the only interest I have now. Now, once they are successful, then I would say my appetite would now become very, very large.
It makes sense.
So that's more what I'm focused on. Trying to make him president, like you.
We'll try our best.
So
That's it of you.
Let's see how things go.
Okay.
If I have plenty money now, I can even move my family out of this country.
Money to move your family out of the country is not something you'd lack at the moment.
Really?
No, you just a disguise.
I am my investment advisor.
Do I need to be?
No.
I don't need to be now.
You are my investment advisor, so if I invest money.
No.
But I move them out. See, abroad is not enjoyable if you don't have money.
So I agree.
If you're in Nigeria, you are used to having one cook, 2 nannies, 1 driver, 1 houseboy. How many people have 5 staff? To afford 5 staff abroad, you have to be a multi-millionaire. It's not easy. And I'm not a multi-millionaire. And I don't want to be living this kind of lifestyle here, and I'm living in Nigeria comfortably. Then now go abroad and be living one kind of life.
I can relate. You do have a point.
You understand? So, moving is one thing, but moving comfortably to match your current lifestyle is another thing.
I agree.
So unless it becomes essential for them to move, I'd rather not move until if God has blessed our hustle, our struggles.
How many houses remain for you now?
How many houses remain for me?
Yes, no. How many houses remain for you?
At my young age, you're asking me how many houses remain for
You
me?
and the Oyo State government.
One day in 2020, there were rumors that the
Right. You have heard that. And if you are a Kolu supporter, I don't think you should, by any means, be pretending that this is something shocking or surprising. Do you imagine what it is going to be like the day that the voice or the recorded phone conversation between, especially around this time, between Sheyi Tinubu, Shade Tinubu, and some of other children of Tinubu who are also, they are already billionaires through the access to free public fund. So don't pretend. And when you look at how Nigeria is being run, right? Once you become a governor of a state, that state purse and that money, everything from that state, especially the one you know of, they will automatically become your family purse. The children will become the first daughter, first son. And in their right, they are also there scavenging, stealing, and then throwing their weights about simply because their father became the governor. So don't pretend. We know all about that. For some of us who remember Aregbe Mugbobaba Kabiru, Aregbe Mugbobaba Kabiru was the former clown governor that bankrupted a state. The first time in Nigeria history that a state will go bankrupt. And that happened to Osun State. The guy that was in charge was this clown, a criminal clown that used everything from religion to